been to Prop 5 on the 5 Reasons YouTube channel. Make sure that you hit like, subscribe, and turn the notifications on here on the channel. Also, make sure that you download Prize Picks. Use the code 5, F-I-V-E. Prize Picks is still legal in more than 30 states. We do know that they're on hiatus in the state of Florida. But we also know we've got many viewers from outside. So that's why we're continuing to do these shows. Make sure you sign up using the code 5, F-I-V-E. Get that initial deposit matched up to $100. There are no rollovers. And you can play virtually any sport, any player. It's all there. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 players. You decide. Okay, so we're going to get to the national championship game today. I'm Ethan Skolnick. You can follow me, Ethan J. Skolnick, on 5 Reasons Sports. I got David Eversole. You can follow him at David W. Eversole. And David, we'll talk NBA tomorrow, obviously. This is a hiatus day for the NBA. These are 2 number 1 seeds, UConn and Purdue. I don't know that's necessarily the final everybody wanted. But it should be reasonably competitive. Let's start on the UConn side. You and I like the same guy.
Yeah, UConn 6.5-point favorites last time I saw, but yeah, Donovan Clingan over 13.5 points. I know you and I both like that. Over in 4 out of his last 5. He's shooting 64.8% from the field this postseason. He's 7-2, so he's not going to get pushed around like some of Edie's other competition. And they're going to want to work the ball through him, I think. UConn's a balanced offensive scoring team. They put up about 81 points a game in the regular season, and they've been right around that mark in the postseason as well. I think they're going to want to make Edie work on the defensive end because obviously on offense, he is their main option on that end. So I think Clingan is poised for a big game to get a lot of touches and that 13.5 number. He's averaging 20 points a game over his last 2.
Yeah, he's been in the high teens consistently. To me, that's the play. I looked at some of UConn's guard play. I think that there could be some overs there as well.
They're balanced. They're very balanced, UConn.
Yeah, they're very balanced. We tend to see that some of these national championship games, there were slow starts, and in the second half tend to be higher scoring. So don't get too freaked out if things don't play out early. A lot of times there's an adjustment being made to these bigger stadiums, although actually they had to play in it in the last game as well. But still, even in the championship game, we have seen some low-scoring first half. So very possible tonight. But I like him as well. Honestly, I think if you're leaning either way on a lot of UConn, I would play it over. I think they're going to win this game. I think they'll cover the 6.5. I've watched Purdue enough. They're so dependent on their big, and we're going to talk about him in a second. And I just feel like UConn is well coached enough. And again, like you said, balanced. They got too many places to go. They feel a little like the South Carolina women's team, just like sort of inevitable at this point. And so I'm going to play most of these overs. But let's go over to Purdue. The big guy is at 24 points. Now, if they're going to win, he's got to go over that. I don't think they're going to win. I think there's going to be a game plan to take the ball out of his hands as much as possible. I actually looked at his rebound and assist numbers. It was a little bit more interested in those. They're going to work to try to get him in foul trouble. If there are 3 or 4 minutes he's out that he shouldn't be, 24 becomes a hard number to reach. I'm going to play that under, David.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. If Purdue's going to win this game, they're going to have to get in the high 70s, low 80s. The last 3 games, Purdue is a good offensive team in the regular season. They average 83 points a game. Their last 3, they're down to 71. Obviously, that slugfest they had versus NC State, 63 points isn't going to get it done against a high-powered UConn team. But actually, I'm looking at the guards for Purdue. Besides Edie, they're going to need to shoot threes. Alabama shot 47% from 3 in that Final Four game versus UConn, and the guards in particular were 10 for 18 for Alabama versus UConn in that game. So I'm going to look at both the guards on Purdue in terms of the overs. I love the Braden Smith demon here over 1.5 threes. And I also was looking at Fletcher Lawyer over 1.5. I would comfortably take both of those. They're going to need a high volume scoring game. And even if Edie does go off and drops around 30, someone else is going to have to get the other 50 because they're going to need 75, 80 points to beat UConn. And the only way they're going to do that is if they're making outside shots.
Yeah, that's a good point there. And again, remember, if you guys are going to play these props on a parlay, you can't play them both on the same side unless you've got something from the other side on there. So again, if you're going to take, like, for instance, both of Dave's Purdue guards there, make sure you got something on the UConn side. So use the code 5, F-I-V-E. Enjoy the game tonight. I'm going under on Edie. We're both going over on UConn center Klingon, and then you're going over on the Purdue guards from 3. So let's see how this plays out tonight. Again, use the code 5. We'll be back tomorrow with our NBA picks. We'll start, of course, with Heat Hawks and go from there. No Trae Young tomorrow night, but he is back at practice, so it looks like the Heat might see him in a play-in game at some point. We don't want to talk about that. Check out the rest of the channel, subscribe, and of course, check on all of our promos and everything else we do at the 5 Reasons Sports Network.